It's about as natural for some titles to be nominated for Game of the Year as it is a cold day in you-know-where for others. However, this year, the nominees for the highest honors in gaming are of such high caliber that it's almost ridiculous. It's nearly as unprecedented as 2023, which is something that none of us would have thought when it started. So why not discuss each game's chances heading into awards season? Now, just to clarify though, this is not a precursor to our own Game of the Year awards or any sort of a hint at what could win. Any title at this point is still fair game. We're just discussing all the major contenders and their chances of winning across the industry as a whole. So with that said, there is one that many consider to be the shoo-in for the Game Awards, if nothing else: Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And how could it not be? It was the highest rated new game among critics for months at a time. And no, those Switch 2 versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do not count.
Don't worry, we don't want to hurt you, Patat. Noko sent us.
Kapatate, noko te kepate? Oh, hati noko ke parka debe sakapatate.
If you guide us to your village.
Lero maricor. Okay, Lil. Pero kare mi bossa kapatat. Ni sugama bi vinaceo.
Guide us to your village and maybe he'll make you something better.
For many gamers, it's an experience that's near and dear to their hearts in terms of narrative and characters. A success story that we hadn't seen in a while from a group of developers who separated from a big AAA publisher to pursue their creative vision. Some loved exploring its Belle Epoque worlds and taking in the stunning art direction. Others relished in its combat challenges, and even though it was easy to overlevel and unlock some truly broken builds by the end, many did find it to be the contemporary Final Fantasy that they always wanted. Others, like myself, felt like it set a new bar for $50 releases while sending a message to the utter messes that dared charge even $70. It's no surprise then that it would sweep the Golden Joystick Awards, winning Best Storytelling, Visual Design, Soundtrack, Supporting Performer, Lead Performer, and Studio of the Year before nabbing the ultimate Game of the Year prize. With 12 nominations at the Game Awards, the most in the show's history, it is a clear favorite to pull a Return of the King and dominate this awards season. The only real competitor that truly comes to mind at this stage is Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Granted, when the first game was released, its unorthodox gameplay, bizarre narrative, and strong performances were enough for multiple nominations, but only a few wins. And blame it on the inherent friction of the design or whatever, or just the fact that it was unlucky to release in the same year as Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. But either way, it was a dark horse. Now, not so with the sequel. It's among the highest rated new titles of the year and the second highest rated among exclusives. It redefined visual standards for the generation with its gorgeous landscapes and impeccable character models. And while it's always a toss-up with how the story could turn out, Kojima Productions surprised us with some genuinely emotional hits on top of the usual twists, expanding on Sam's story in so many welcome ways. And that's before even getting to the gameplay, which accommodated so many other playstyles, resulting in a much more enjoyable experience. Long story short, it's not just the prestige of Hideo Kojima's name. Death Stranding 2 stands as a strong, well-rounded experience. And no wonder then that it's tied with another exclusive for the second most nominations at the Game Awards, but we'll get to that. Instead, now would be a good time to talk about the truly beloved darlings that more than deserve to be in the Game of the Year discussion, but who are unlikely to win the big one: Blue Prince, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Split Fiction. And it's a shame because each of these games are incredible in what they do, be it KCD2's world design and sheer immersion, or Split Fiction's range of gameplay experiences within its co-op framework. And then there's Blue Prince, a truly innovative take on the puzzle genre with enough mysteries to keep players running around, even after hundreds of hours. If any of these games had released last year, they may have taken the crown, but 2025 I think is too packed. Unfortunately, that may also apply to Ghost of Yotei. Now, I loved Ghost of Tsushima to bits, flaws and all. To say that I had high expectations for Yotei even before it was announced would be an understatement, and yet it surpassed almost every single one of them. The combat, exploration, visuals, overall presentation, and narrative, it all felt personable and pitch perfect. So while it's yet another title that I could see earning numerous awards for its soundtrack, performances, visuals, and more, Game of the Year may just be out of its reach. The same goes for Hollow Knight Silksong. Years and years of anticipation punctuated by endless memes of "Where's Silksong?" during showcases resulted in one of the greatest side-scrolling action-adventure games ever made. Heck, it's perhaps the only title that managed to crash nearly every major storefront as soon as it launched. But while many were enthralled by Farloom and its multitude of secrets on top of the unforgiving bosses, there were a scant few who weren't feeling the magic or the challenge. Which is a shame for many reasons that I've discussed before, but I can see those many moments of frustration, even if they made victory taste that much sweeter, bringing the experience down for some players. Then we come to the wild cards like Donkey Kong Bonanza. For all the talk about how Xbox hasn't been nominated for the Game Awards grand prize since 2010, it's almost as surprising that no Nintendo exclusive has won since 2017, with Breath of the Wild understandably taking the industry by storm. As much fun as Donkey Kong Bonanza is, I can see it suffering the same fate, simply because all the other contenders are on the field. And that doesn't take away from how incredible a 3D platformer it is, and it's probably guaranteed to mop up all of the Nintendo-specific awards, even with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond coming up. Hades 2 is a dark horse in many ways, exiting early access several weeks after Silksong and delivering a fantastic evolution of the original's formula. The ending wasn't nearly as well received, but as a roguelike, it remains at the tippity top of such experiences to play. Will that be enough to elevate it above the others? Probably not, even with its stellar combat, characters, and presentation. But the fact that it's become undeniable brings a smile to my face. Of course, you also have games which have much lower chances of claiming a ton of awards, despite leaving their own mark. I can see Ad Hoc Studios' Dispatch winning some awards for its performances and its writing, but it likely won't go much further beyond that, which is a shame considering it's one of the best narrative adventure games in years and years. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is as faithful a remake as you can get, but whether it's due to the lack of boundary pushing or the sheer number of other contenders, it may have to be content with winning top honors for remakes. And the same goes for Silent Hill F, but in the horror category. As uncomfortably disgusting yet disturbingly compelling as it is, I don't see it getting much mainstream recognition beyond the art direction and story. And as much as I like Absolem with its mix of roguelike mechanics, beat-em-up action, and gorgeous 2D visuals, it's unlikely to even win out of the indie category. Regardless of all the above games, chances, and how many awards they accrue, they're all fantastic titles that you should experience. Which one is your favorite to claim Game of the Year? We want to hear you sound off in the comments and let us know.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at Gaming Vault, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.